Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. I just wanted to give you guys an update on my caffeine withdrawals. We're still going strong. I did slip up on Saturday because I was filming for the documentary, so I did have a coffee then, but we're back down to decaf, so no actual caffeine, which is just like so rude. And I still feel really weird. I'm still getting used to I don't know. It's just a strange feeling. All right, so I've got a crazy story for you guys today. The FBI has been caught once again, essentially, entrapping a mentally ill minor, this time from Coeur, Idaho. And I also have an update for you guys in the story we had been covering about another very similar case of a man named Russell Richardson Vane the Fourth what it appears, attempting to infiltrate a Virginia militia group called the Kekawas, and then tried to suggest a plot seemingly to unite all of the Virginia militias under Russia for $50,000 a month. It's just insane, and we've got a crazy update in that as well. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. I want to start with this story about the mentally ill teenager. Coming from Fort Fisher, the DOJ has charged 18-year-old Alexander Mercurio with providing, quote, material support to ISIS after at least listen to this, three CHSs, that stands for confidential human source. That is what the FBI calls their informants. And an actual undercover FBI agent helped him plan attacks on churches before the FBI would swoop in to arrest him. Here, he poses with a flag given to him by an FBI informant in a picture taken by an FBI informant. So if this does not scream entrapment, I don't know what does. That picture itself, here's the FBI giving him this flag and then taking a picture of him posing in front of it. No, that's not appropriate. And again, this is, as you'll see, a seemingly mentally ill teenager. So let's just go ahead and get into it. By the way, I will include all of the sources in the video description so you guys can go look at this and follow along yourself as we go through the thread. The FBI says an online account belonging to an alleged ISIS supporter was deleted, and they believe that the owner of the account had essentially passed away. So what the FBI decided to do was hey, this guy's passed away. Let's turn his account into a honeypot. Let's install a CHS to pretend to be him and just see, who we can lure in, I guess. And so the Mercurio, who at the time this occurred was, I believe, 17, so he's a teenager, allegedly contacted the CHS on the new account. Mercurio then allegedly began speaking to a second confidential human source, a second FBI informant to whom he confided he previously had drank the Kool-Aid of white supremacy before his alleged endeavor with Islamic DT stuff. So I would just say right here, I'd say who gave him the Kool-Aid, right? Was that also the FBI or an informant somewhere? That, to me, that goes up as a red flag that this is somebody who seemingly has been who's been targeted for radicalization before. In March, Mercurio allegedly told an online OCE, that stands for Online Covert Employee. We learned about this in the Whitmer case, for example. In the Whitmer case, the FBI used an agent named Lauren Hastings. She was an online covert employee, or an OCE. They used her to pose as a woman named Elise Marie, who befriended Adam Fox's girlfriend, Amanda Keller, online. And then said, oh, I have this boyfriend, Mark, who's interested in joining your group. Well, that Mark is Special Agent Mark Schweers, an undercover FBI agent posing as a man named Mark Woods. And so that was how the undercover made contact with Adam Fox, was through this OCE connection made through his girlfriend, Amanda Keller. And so, yes, this is a tactic that the FBI uses frequently. You never know when you're online and you're speaking to somebody if you might actually be talking to an OCE. And so it continues. In March, Mercurio allegedly told an FBI OCE that, quote, I'm going to perform a martyrdom operation, and explained to CHS-1 that he intended to use a flame sword. I don't know what that is, to be honest. While talking to an FBI CHS, Mercurio allegedly said he would have to walk to his DT event because he only has his learner's permit and needs an adult to drive with him. This is who the FBI is targeting for entrapment, and who they want you to believe is some type of big threat to the community. A child who couldn't even drive on his own without an adult. He allegedly told CHS-1 he shared his plan with someone else, but it was likely just CHS-2. The other thing that stands out to me about this, and that is striking to me about this, and I see this with a lot of these folks, is these are people who don't have friends. And what the FBI is doing is essentially paying people to pretend to be their friends in order to nudge them and steer them into things that they otherwise would not come up with on their own, which I think is just literally criminal. Undercover 1, UC1, messaged Mercurio, who allegedly set up a new chat he thought would be, quote, safe and secure with UC1. Just so sad. Then Mercurio allegedly spoke to CHS-3, saying he wanted to do a martyrdom operation. On the day before an alleged DT event would have taken place, Mercurio reached out to the FBI's CHS-2, allegedly expressing concerns about causing him to be investigated. CHS-2 reassured him, quote, don't worry about me, and that Allah would guide him. That's the FBI encouraging this to happen. Like, why? They could have just, like, said, hey, how about we don't do that? But no. Of course not. Quote, my stress and anxiety is mounting exponentially. I really can't mess this up, but I am basically self-sabotaging through my own behavior. I also worry deeply about you. I don't want you getting investigated because of the time we spent together. Let's see. He says, I've got a lot on my shoulders. I don't know if I'm up to the task. CHS-2 responded the next day saying, no need to worry about me. My affairs are in the hands of Allah. What he has decreed for me, blah, 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 blah. Insane. On April 6th, the FBI raided the teenager's house. The full affidavit is below. In total, Ford says he counts 18-year-old Alexander Mercurio allegedly communicating with, listen to this, 3 FBI CHSs, that's confidential human sources or informants, so 3 FBI informants, 1 undercover FBI agent, and 1 FBI online covert employee or OCE. That is 5 feds. 5-to-1, 5 feds to 1 mentally disturbed 17-year-old who can't even drive. What is happening? Quote, here comes the FBI to pat themselves on the back. Quote, this case should be an eye-opener to the dangers of, quote, self-radicalization, which is a real threat to our community, said Special Agent in Charge Shohini Sinha of the Salt Lake City FBI in the DOJ statement about the arrest. Now, what I would suggest is, I'm sorry, how is it self-radicalization if the FBI is the one doing the radicalizing? That is ridiculous. Now, I want to move on to a post from the Idaho Tribune breaking. FBI Joint T Task Force has begun operations in North Idaho. According to a press release from the DOJ, an 18-year-old named Alexander Scott Mercurio of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, was arrested Saturday, April 6, 2024, in Coeur d'Alene for attempting to provide material support and resources to ISIS. It is entirely possible this kid was radicalized and enticed into this by the FBI. He goes on to say, be aware of what your kids are doing on social media. At all costs, avoid chat groups with people you don't know, especially on platforms like Discord. I would say that's sound advice, but it's not just Discord. I mean, it's everywhere. These OCEs are on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram. They're on the Fediverse, they're on Gab, they're on everywhere they think they could find people to funnel into things, they're there. They're on all social media, so you just got to be careful and smart in general. The FBI regularly preys on young people with mental illnesses on the internet to create these scenarios so they can then score political points. We've seen this before with the Whitmer case and elsewhere. According to the complaint, Mercurio pledged his support to ISIS-K, the group allegedly responsible for the recent T attack in Moscow, Russia. For those that are unaware, ISIS is a CIA front group. There is a link here to an article. I would also suggest Mossad involved as well. JTTF is now posted up in Liberty Lake for the foreseeable future, and this kind of activity is likely to increase due to their presence. According to the complaint, page 8, Mercurio, the 18-year-old, who again was 17 at the time, said his parents had put him in therapy. Looks like the FBI is preying on mentally ill minors again. Brother was calm for a couple days. Now it's serious. They're sending me to in-person school again. More therapy stuff. Probably not coming back anytime soon, blah, 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 blah. Talking about they may even send him to a youth program. The kid was suicidal and was worried the media would call him a crazy person, maybe because he is mentally ill. $50 says they're going to use this as a pretext to change and amend Idaho's DT law that was being pushed by Idaho Leaders United. Very interesting. According to the complaint, the FBI CHS gave Mercurio the flag that was found at his house. The FBI are the ones providing material support then, not the mentally ill 17-year-old. And I thought this was interesting. The JTTF has been present in Idaho since 1993, consequential to Ruby Ridge. They have several field offices throughout the state. Indeed. Their new agents being installed following the dubious ousting of former Coeur d'Alene FBI SSRA Zach Schaffstall. Very fascinating. Now, I have the full complaint, which of course it's 48 pages long. I will link in the video description. And so now I want to transition at this point to giving you guys an update on the Russell Richardson Vane the fourth situation with the Virginia group, the Kekawas. So let's go ahead and bring that up. I have an update. This is coming from Ford Fisher, News to Share. He says, let's go back in time. This is picking up on the thread that we covered in the last two videos. We talked about this man potentially faking his death, Russell Richardson Vane IV. Now, the obituary is apparently yielding an error code. There's an archived copy, of course, though, and we went over it. He says, let's go back in time. This is the update. In 2011, Russell Richardson Vane IV faced charges, listen to this, for allegedly bringing guns onto federal property in Maryland on November 3rd of 2010. Vane's attorney told the court at the time that he was a, quote, reserve member of the United States Armed Forces. So that would be he is a veteran, or he's a reserve army individual. This was the obituary, which is now yielding an error code. On November 3rd, 2010, according to Officer John Childs III of the Federal Protective Service, Russell Richardson Vane arrived at Suitland Federal Center. Quote, suspect Vane stated he came for a job interview and that he had 3 items inside his vehicle. Then Maryland U.S. District Attorney Rod Rosenstein got involved in the case, but prosecutor Hollis Weissman at the May 11, 2011 hearing told the judge they learned that the, quote, defendant had been arrested and charged in a gun-related case in Fairfax County, unquote. It appears Weissman was correct. Russell Vane was apparently charged in Virginia for, quote, shooting in a public place, no injuries, mere weeks after his other gun case began, and those charges were dropped. The alleged, quote, possession of unloaded guns hereby Vane, as an active member of the U.S. Military Reserve and a holder of a Virginia concealed carry permit in the rear compartment area of his hatchback vehicle, squarely falls within the Second Amendment underlying principles of participations in militia self-defense and hunting, argued his lawyer May 26, 2011. Ultimately, in June of 2011, Russell Vane pled guilty to a federal misdemeanor for bringing 3 firearms onto federal property. He received 6 months unsupervised probation, a $75 fine, and surrendered those 3 items. It was more than a decade from, quote, active member of the U.S. Military Reserve, Russell Vane IV's federal guilty plea on misdemeanor gun charges to his entrance into the Virginia Kekawas militia, allegedly claiming to be in the CIA. And so I think that what's obvious there, and I think that what stands out, right, is a lot of the background of these informants, people working for the government, is they have a prior charge like that, and the charge gets dropped or mysteriously gets wrapped up very conveniently, and then seemingly they are released into the community, and that's sort of, and then they go and engage in these schemes, these plots, hoaxes. And I think that the Virginia group they got very lucky, because one of the things that I note with that, which is very similar to the Whitmer case and the behavior of the informants in that case, is Russell Vane he'd tell one person something, right? He'd have a conversation with somebody, but not tell the other members what the conversation was about. So, like, he'll talk to someone named Preacher about something. Well, the other guys don't know what he talked to Preacher about. Well, he also gives Sasquatch a manila envelope with documents in it. Well, ICE doesn't know about that. And so, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, he's doing different things with different people. And then if those individuals aren't talking to each other and communicating, they're not aware of all of the things that this guy is doing. Maybe they're only aware of the thing he said to him or whatever. In any case, it's like, this is what they do. And I noticed the same thing in the Whitmer case. So I just am very disturbed and disgusted right now that this is continuing to happen, that not only has the FBI not been held accountable for what happened in the Whitmer case, in fact, they are just doing that even more, and that is a problem. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. I will be appearing on Kim Iverson's show. That should be later today, maybe I think around 8 o'clock tonight or something. So make sure you guys check that out. We were talking about the Whitmer case and the documentary. And with that, I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.